I'm Dan DeRosa with 19 News Now, coming back to continue our discussion on issue one. Of course, this is one of two ballot issues facing the entire state. This deals with reproduction and abortion rights in the state of Ohio. Highly encourage you to go to Cleveland 19 to read up on the issue. We don't want to waste any time with that because we are joined now by Ohio Governor Mike DeWine. Governor, how are you, sir?
I'm great. Thank you very much, Dan.
Thank you for joining us. Governor, we know you voted early. You exercised your right to go in and vote already, and you voted no on issue one. I want to just give you the floor here. Why are you not in support of issue one?
Dan, you know, whether someone is pro-life or pro-choice, this constitutional amendment just goes much, much too far. It puts in the Ohio Constitution, first of all, it's a constitutional amendment, which means it would trump any kind of state laws and would supersede the state laws. But it puts in the Ohio Constitution the ability for someone to have an abortion at any point up until birth. So at any point during the whole pregnancy, that would be allowed. It would overturn our partial birth abortion ban that we have in the state of Ohio that we've enacted. It would also overturn the parental rights law, the parental consent law, which currently requires a minor to, consult and talk with their parent. So these are two big things, and I know we're divided. I'm sure your viewers are divided on the issue of abortion, but even for someone who is pro-choice, an abortion allowed up until the last minute before birth, it's just most Ohioans just are not in favor of that. And I think it's, what I'm trying to do is to get people to understand really what's in this constitutional amendment. It just goes much too far.
Governor, you bring up this issue of timing and what's considered viable and timing. Ohio used to have a law that said you could have an abortion up to 21 weeks and 6 days. The Ohio legislature passed, which you signed, a new law that's now currently being debated by the Ohio Supreme Court that says up to 6 weeks. Some people would say that going from 21 weeks to 6 weeks is extreme. Is that not the case?
Well, I don't think it's extreme, but Dan, what I have said is that if we're able to defeat this amendment, and the only thing that's going to be in front of voters this fall, in 2 weeks from today, is this constitutional amendment. So there's nothing else that's going to be. You're either going to vote yes or you're going to vote no. If you vote yes, and it does in fact pass, then it's a permanent part of the Ohio Constitution. If we're able to defeat it, I believe that we can then go back and have a conversation in this state and find a place where more people will be comfortable, where a majority of Ohioans, I'm convinced that we can find a place where a majority of Ohioans will be comfortable, wherever we draw that line. I'm not sure exactly where it is.
Are you saying 6 weeks is too early?
I just don't know. I mean, I think we have to have that discussion. What I have said is it's clear to me from talking with Ohioans that the vast majority of Ohioans believe there should be an exception for rape or incest. That might not be where I am personally, but that clearly is where the vast majority of Ohioans are. So I think whatever we pass, we'll have to have that in there.
And that's a pretty powerful point that you've given to the pro issue one people. You see the commercials, they say there are no exceptions for rape and incest. This, if it's voted, if it's approved, that would take that out of the equation. That would make sure that it's in there and that it's in there forever.
Well, it would also put in there forever that you can get an abortion right before the baby is born. I mean, think about a 9-month baby that's still in the womb. I mean, do we really believe it's okay to have an abortion for that child?
But at the same time, sir, and respectfully,
it's much too radical. Yeah.
But respectfully, do you think a doctor would perform an abortion at 9 months?
Yes. Look, Dr. Haskell in Dayton, Ohio, perfected what's called partial birth abortion. And what that is where the baby is born partially, the baby is killed, and then completed the delivery. We had a number of those. Those were actually occurring in Ohio until we passed. Haskell was doing that until we passed the partial birth abortion law. Once we passed that, then those stopped. But before that, we were seeing, very late term abortions in the state of Ohio. Now, they may not be the majority of those. I'm not saying that, but they are. We were seeing a number of those, and that's what it would go back to. That's what the law would go back to allow that if this constitutional amendment is passed.
And Governor DeWine, just as we did with our pro-issue 1 individual that we had on earlier, Dr. Lavin, a pediatrician here in the Cleveland area, we want to give you the final word here. People are voting today, tomorrow, in 2 weeks from today. You get the final word as people head into the polls.
Whether you're pro-life or pro-choice, this constitutional amendment 1 goes much, much too far. It allows an abortion at any point and takes away the rights of parents to be involved in the most important decision that their daughter will make. It's just not right for Ohio. We needed to defeat this, then we need to go back, and I'm sure that we can come up with something that is reasonable, kind of a sweet spot where Ohioans will be able to approve it.
Governor Mike DeWine, thank you so much for the time. We truly appreciate it. Have a good afternoon.
Thanks, Dan.
All right, take care. Again, just part of our series, making sure you understand issue 1. We want you to hear from both sides. Today, we've done that. We'll have a recap coming up when we start 3.5 hours of news at 3 o'clock on Channel 19. Until then, I'm Dan DeRose with 19 News Now. Have a great afternoon.
19 News is everywhere. Download our CTV apps and follow us on social